Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the House of Bricks Live. We are live, and I will prove it because my desk may break during this live interview. So I have one of those standing desks, and for some reason it's not functioning properly. So hopefully it doesn't break, but if it does, we'll find a way to use it as a competitive advantage, as we always do with the House of Bricks, teaching entrepreneurs how to use every experience like a brick to build a strong foundation. And we continue our best in class people that we bring to our show. Today I have a very special guest I met through David Meltzer at a VIP event in Miami. Adley, Kinsman, welcome to the House of Bricks.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here, Adam. Love what you're doing. Love what you stand for. This is going to be a lot of fun.
It is. And we got connected, like I said, in Miami, and you've accomplished a lot of success on social media. I know I've gone through many iterations of struggling and not getting success. I think even my own kids unfollowed me on Instagram, but maybe they'll join me because I'm live here with someone special like you that's had a lot of success. But tell us about your journey, kind of, getting into social media. I know you're one of the most viewed people in Facebook history, averaging over 1 billion views. We'd all love to be there and love to hear your story.
Absolutely. Oh, where to begin? House of Bricks is actually a perfect analogy. I feel like they've only recently formed into bricks, being that, solid matter in the last couple of years. But I mean, the journey starts really unsexily through bankruptcy and a lot of heartache and trial that I'm more thankful for than anything else that's happened in my life. I feel like we can probably all look back in hindsight and be like, man, I would not be here if my feet were not put to the fire and I was forced to figure it out. And then, the journey starts kind of in college, where I would do karaoke sometimes, right? And then I got an opportunity to go on this karaoke show, which was The Voice. Ended up on the show, was on Team Blake. And I had previously wanted to go work for a nonprofit. So I wanted to go speak and encourage and inspire people. Then here I was in Nashville with a record deal, and I was going to be on the #1 show in America. And I was like, oh man, God, how did you pick me? I didn't even want this. I had friends who would give their left leg to have this opportunity. Now here I am with all these amazing things happening. And I just promised them I will earn everything else. Because when you hear God's voice and it just becomes so audible, like you just know it in your heart. It was like he just gave me a stage and a microphone and a voice I didn't know I had, and said, what do you think you're supposed to do with it? Go speak, go encourage, go inspire people. I'm just giving you a way bigger platform than you were giving yourself. So I was like, okay, I'm going to earn everything else. And then I feel like I've noticed this pattern in my relationship with God too, to where as soon as I commit to something, he throws the biggest obstacle my way and says, okay, do you really want this? Or did you just say you wanted it if you thought it was going to be easy? So right after the show, all my friends are signing even better record deals. Everyone's on a high. And I realized I had signed the worst deal possibly known to man. And now I'm bankrupt. I don't own the rights to my name. My dad's dying of alcoholism. I can't even leverage my name, the one thing that I had from the show, to go make money because it's tied up in the bankruptcy and in this thing. So I was like, okay, I got to get really, really scrappy here and figure out what I'm going to do. And I realized the theme of how I pulled myself out of that was solving other people's problems and finding creative ways to storytell. So while I was singing and songwriting and trying to earn attention and be valuable and write music that could entertain other people, I started making more personality-driven videos. And in music, as many of you may know, you're waiting for permission from a suit behind a desk to say, okay, now you can be successful, or now you can go sing, now you can entertain, now's your time. And that didn't sit very well with my scrappiness and knowing that I had a unique ability to storytell and to entertain. So that's how I started making videos. While I was touring with Blake Shelton, it was still awesome. I was having a pretty successful independent run, but making no money. It's a free commodity. And it takes so much money to promote the music that is then free. And then you got a tour, which is so expensive and very full of variables. So started making videos, and that started working. That started getting traction and attention, me just being myself. And I was like, this is it. Scratches a way bigger itch for me than music and waiting for a permission. I get to entertain, not just with a single facet of myself, which is musicianship and singing, but I can entertain with the whole piece of all of me. I get entertained with all of me and everything that I am and not be put in a box. So that was how I, in a very quick nutshell, how I got into the world of videos by way of the music industry and just wanting to entertain people.
Well, wait a minute. You're one of those entrepreneurs that actually struggled first. Okay. So everyone expects to, they come join the House of Bricks community. They're like, Adam, how'd you do it? I was like, I failed 80% of the time. I just never gave up. So people will say, at times, like, what would you tell your 19-year-old self? And I always tell them, I wouldn't tell myself anything, because you don't learn. You don't learn unless you're failing, testing, and growing through the process. And you beat me out by that one spot. I was going to be on The Voice also. I'm an amazing singer. Not really. If I started singing right now, we'd lose our audience pretty quickly. So as you know, our audience is mostly entrepreneurs, but we have venture capitalists, investment bankers, a pretty broad mix of people that want to embrace, the House of Bricks mentality, building life brick by brick. Every entrepreneur wants to be successful on social media, and there isn't another industry, I think, that has more snake oil salespeople than trying to go viral on social media or build your brand. Yeah, just sign up for 6 months and pay me $5,000 a month, and then all of a sudden, the algorithm changed. Like, that's always the excuse that's given. But what are some practical things for entrepreneurs that are out there that just want to get started? Like, what do you do?
Oh, man. At first, I see so many people doing content that looks the same as everybody else, because you see one thing working, right? Hormozy is a perfect example of, he's doing this thing, it's breaking through, it's working. I mean, understand that he's spending a ton of money every month to have that result that you're seeing, but you see people, here's how you can do it cheaper, and here's how you can get the same results. But you have to do it in a way that's authentic to you, to not burn yourself out and to sustain it. And also, we can sniff out authenticity more so than ever. So if you're just doing the same thing as everybody else, you're not going to like it. It's not going to resonate with you. And that's where so many people that we end up working with, we help them find the magic of, holy crap, this is why I got into business, to be able to storytell my heart, my passion, my mission, my product in a way that feels genuine, instead of trying to put it in this box and present it in a way that you think other people are ready to receive it. Yes, that may be a part of it, but the algorithm does change consistently. And what worked 4 months ago is not working today. What worked in some scenarios 3 weeks ago is not true today. So it's really pairing yourself with a team that knows how to story tell you and your brand, your mission, your product. And that's where agency models have really been failing in a sense, and being forced to pivot to really adapt to the clients that they're working with. And then I never set out to build an agency. It's kind of happened to us, because when we started averaging 1 billion views a month, we're like, holy crap. And it's mostly an entertainment content, right? It's everything from cooking channels, prank channels, couples channels, DIY, so many different niches. But recognizing that we have a really unique superpower to be able to storytell and cut through. And we can get 100 million views on some of the worst content you've ever seen in your life, because it's a formula and it's psychology. So we can just storytell paint drying and get millions of views. Like, you can make a video about anything, but are you doing it in a way that is at the intersection of who you authentically are, if you're a personal brand, in a way that the market wants to receive it, and in a way that you can sustain it and storytell it, that runs parallel with the algorithm. So when we started doing agency style work for, say, Essentia, they need 10 million views a month integrated into viral content. That's our core competency, and how we ended up being able to scale into an agency model that serves clients at a high level and an authentic level.
And so, and I agree. I mean, the success speaks for itself, and you're probably a lot further along than most entrepreneurs out there in terms of like what they could afford and budget. Like, are there simple things that they can do just to get out there? Because it's one thing to create the content. I've gone through this, but how do you get people to see it, right? Like,
let's do some fast and hard tips then. This will be fun. This is my favorite thing. I could nerd out and I try to not get super nerdy, but if you're into it, I'm into it.
We're all about action. So what's step 1 through 5?
Step 1 through 5. Okay. So key pieces of our formula And it's one thing to have the head knowledge. Like I can say it and you could be like, oh yeah, the hook's important. We all know that. But to know how to, if you're stuck under 1,000 or 10,000 or 50,000 views, you're not executing it that well. But if you can get 90% retention on your first 6 seconds, you're going to be in the top 1% of content that's even available on the platform. And that's really for any platform, being able to hold attention for the first 6 seconds. Around 90%, that's really what we aim for. We don't create a piece of content that we don't think can accomplish that. So that's how you should be designing your content. Most people, they'll design a video. Like if I were to tell you a video, Adam, idea where I'm like, hey, I'm going to show you the most amazing 3-step brownie recipe. And that's what my video is about. Well, you're describing the end of the video. You're describing the payoff. Most people aren't going to make it to the end of your video. So I don't necessarily care about that. You need to design your videos in reverse. And that's what we teach people how to do. So if somebody's pitching me an idea, I make them describe the opening 4 seconds, 3 to 6 seconds. Okay, describe your opening shot. And I'm going to crack eggs into a bowl. Where? In my kitchen. And then I'm going to whisk them. I'm not stopping on that. You're probably not stopping on that. That's boring. How is that outstanding or different than any other video out there? Are you being interesting? And a lot of people will look at the content that we've historically made or that they've seen my name associated with, and they're like, oh, Ad, I don't want to be silly. I'm saying, you don't have to be silly. I'm silly. That's authentic to me. That's my comedic style. But you don't have to be silly, but you do have to be interesting. So you cracking eggs into a bowl and whisking it up, I don't know what your payoff is, and I'm not even going to make it there because I just got finished watching something else. So if you don't grab me and hold me for those first 6 seconds, then I'm out and I'm never going to see the amazing punchline or all this amazing information that you have. So you have to design your videos beginning with the start in mind. And then I would have them describe the next 6 seconds, then the next 10 seconds. What are all these micro mini payoff or hooks that you're giving me to hold my attention for 6 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 minutes, but you have to keep my attention. So we design videos in reverse for most people. And most of it's anchored on that 90% retention in the first 6 seconds.
Yeah. And I'm in the middle of reading Gary Vee's book on day trading attention. So people are like, oh, I don't need to know social media. Like we're all in the attention business, like attention, people's time. I don't care if you're on social media or not, you have to be able to get people's attention because they have so many options. And
you're not just competing with the other podcasts out there or the other real estate agents. You're competing, yes, with them. You're competing with the content on the rest of the internet. You're also competing against their email inbox, the kid tugging on their leg. The competition for attention is fierce. So I just spoke at Pace Morby's event and everybody's in real estate, right? For the most part. And I asked the guy in the front row, I said, what is your main goal? What are you most excited about right now? And he's like, I want to buy RV parks. I'm like, awesome. How valuable would it be for you if 50,000 people knew that you in America knew that you wanted to buy RV parks? So when they see something, they know that you're the guy. He goes, that would be priceless. I'm like, yeah, it would be. So if you can get 50,000 free impressions on your mission, message, product, or service, it is priceless because you never know the ripple effect of how these things are going to play out. And social media is free. So it is our responsibility as business owners to figure out how to cut through because this advertising is free. And I do agree with Gary that it's not going to be free for long. So my mission is to help business owners and entrepreneurs figure out how to get it as long as it's free.
Well, it's free in the sense you don't have to pay for it. But what people and especially entrepreneurs don't take into the equation is your time is costing you money and also missed opportunity. So, you have to value that. And you mentioned, kind of your journey in the music career and Gary talks about this as well. We're at a unique time in history. You can go on and anyone can record a video. You don't need an agency or a record label or a DJ to play your music. You can go on at any time, anywhere, promote your business service, talk about yourself, your experiences. So with that being said, there are so many directions that you can go in. There's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or X now. Sorry, Elon. I don't want to call it Twitter. I'm still going to call it X, or either way, I'll call it Twitter. Yeah, got it. Anyway, where do you recommend? I know each business may be different, but do you recommend leaning into one platform specifically and kind of getting traction there? Do you agree that you should post on all platforms? You know, what's kind of the tactical way that you should approach it?
All of them. Like if we made a video, we'll make 3-minute and longer videos for Facebook. I'll chop that down to 1:02 to 1:30 for TikTok to monetize it there. I'll cut it down. I'll use that same one usually for Instagram. And then I'll do a sub 60-second version of that same video for YouTube. And the difference takes me 15 minutes, but I'm now everywhere. And I think you'll find where you have your core audience develops. But while you're making the content, why would you throw it on LinkedIn and not YouTube Shorts? Why would you put it on TikTok and not Instagram or not on your Facebook? Because you never know who's going to see it and where something's going to take off. Maybe it takes off on Shorts and is struggling on TikTok, but that builds your audience on Shorts. But if you hadn't thrown it up there when you already had it, then you're just wasting that content. You're not maximizing every piece. You know, so whether you have an intern or you take the extra 15 minutes to do it yourself, depending on where you're at in your business, it's absolutely worth it to publish across every platform because you never know which one's going to take off for you.
And do you recommend using, I know there's different platforms out there where you can create it once and it posts on all platforms for you, but then there's some dialogue out there and everyone you talk to has a different answer, but you obviously have mastered what you're doing. Are you posting everything manually? Are you using a platform that pushes it out to everywhere?
We do it manually. Okay. We do it manually because one, this is our main job. So I'm not suggesting that every business owner has to do it manually, but here at Viralish, we do just because we don't want the variable of a third-party platform or diminish reach because reach and distribution is the primary part of our business. So we do it manually. I think Metricool is a great platform. I don't love a lot of the scheduling. I like Metricool because you can do it all in one place if you're going to do it versus scheduling on Meta's platform, scheduling on TikTok, scheduling on Shorts. It's just a lot. Sometimes we'll schedule things out in advance, but again, we're doing it manually. But I would say Metricool, if you're going to go third party, would be my favorite choice.
Okay, we use Metricool, so I feel better now. Great, I'm doing well. And when you're initially engaging with clients, have you seen any common patterns of things they should stop doing? Because as entrepreneurs, I coach them as well. A lot of entrepreneurs confuse activity with progress. So what are some of the dumbest things you see people doing like that they shouldn't be? Just common patterns you see.
Common patterns. I mean, and I'm guilty of this too, but I think it depends. The patterns are different at different stages, right? And I think a lot of people, maybe like you or I, are people that are running their business and doing more personality driven marketing or personal brand forward. It's paralysis by analysis. But if you don't have a big audience yet, you don't have a lot to lose. Like you can afford to think about it a little bit more and your strategy for launch and how you're showing up if you have a big audience. But if you don't have one yet, you're in spaghetti method, right? You're just trying stuff to see, one, what you like doing, two, what the market likes seeing from you, and three, what you think you can sustain. Because something may pop off for you that you tried and you're like, oh, cool that everybody liked that, but I hated it and I don't want to keep doing that. But now you have data to be able to assess, but you can't make educated decisions without data. And so many people just get stuck in their head overanalyzing and before they ever launch. And then guess what? It's going to change as soon as you see the data anyway. And you just wasted a lot of time procrastinating, trying to make the right decision out of the gate when you're not going to know in advance of just trying. So I would say just start doing what you even think you are interested in doing right now to make content fun for you again. Don't worry about fancy editing. Show up authentically in the way and try to represent the heart of why you got into business in the first place, because that's what's going to connect with people. That's what's going to help them trust you rather than hiding behind fancy editing. And we shoot everything on iPhones unless a brand tells me I have to do otherwise. But it just lends itself to a little bit more authenticity, even if we're scripting content, which we do. So for some people, it sounds weird for me to use the word authenticity in scripted content, but that's for entertainment, right? If you're just showing up as Adam House, like, I don't want you to be overly scripted because I can tell that you are, because in person you're magnetic, right? How do we capture your magnetism through the phone? And that just takes practice, reps, and trying it.
Yeah, I mean, you're never ready. So just start, get out there. Decisions create feedback, right? That action, and it'll just help you make better decisions as you go forward.
Is that what
So
your advice would be too? If I can ask, to a lot of entrepreneurs that you work with and where you see a lot of people making a very obvious mistake to you that you want to push majority of people through?
Yeah, I mean, the number one thing is exactly what you said. Like, it's analysis paralysis. They want to, I tell people, if you want to make God laugh, come up with a well-defined business plan, right? Because it's never going to go how you think it will. And that's how we came up with our simple framework that we coach entrepreneurs on, which is you have your strategy, which is the S. You have to innovate, right? Test, fail, learn, grow. You have to have the right mindset, because what you thought is going to happen is going to meet reality, because it's not going to go how you think it is. Pattern recognition, like you were just talking about, the different data that you will get through those actions. And then the L is leverage, which I see this, and I'm sure you have too, is people try to leverage too soon. You don't leverage at the beginning. Don't look for a billion views out of the gate. Get 100, get 1,000, get 10,000. And then last, most importantly, is the E, which is execution. You have to be able to execute. That's what separates the businesses that succeed and the ones that don't. Because entrepreneurs, you're signing up for a 9 out of 10 failure rate profession. 9 out of 10 businesses fail. So what's going to make you different? It's, getting mentorship, experts like you to help, that have already paid a lot of the dummy tax for them, kind of testing and failing and learning. And then having a community, people that you want to run with, building something together, and then mentoring other people. We learn a lot by teaching other people what we know. So it's one thing to learn it, but if you can actually teach someone else how to do it, then that's a deeper level of learning and expertise. So I know we're kind of running up on time here. If people want to learn more about you, how can they connect with you? How can they engage with your content?
Absolutely. Instagram, LinkedIn, since we're all on LinkedIn, feel free to drop me a message at Adley Kinsman. Instagram is another one, at Adley, Adley. And that'd probably be the easiest to connect. And then we'll see if we can plug in and serve. We have all different types of ways. The more people, really over the last 6 months, as we put ourselves out there more, we used to be such an underground operation where we're staging and scripting and publishing some of the most viewed content on the internet, but most people don't know that we were the ones behind it. So really just over the last 6 months, we've been saying, hey, it's us, and trying to just be more helpful to brands with this superpower, recognizing the marriage of shopping and entertainment and where that's going, and how we have a really opportunity to stand out there, and how we're serving brands in that capacity with this knowledge. So we have programs that we're continuing to develop based on the need that we see, everything from personal brands to who, when you just start seeing somebody blow up out of nowhere, you're like, man, where did they come from? Yeah. A lot of that is syndication into theme pages and meme pages. The budget needs to be larger, but we can get you in front of 200 million eyeballs in a matter of a couple of days. And it's one thing for you to talk about you and have everybody it's one thing for you to focus on your organic content and your page and start to see growth in your page. And that's your social media plan, right? It's another thing to work with an amplification agency that has so much distribution so we can get everybody else talking about you. Some of the biggest pages in your niche, it's likely that we do business with them, and we find your best clips or your products, or we help position your product in a way where it's newsworthy and blast it out across theme pages and culture pages to where it looks like you're already the hottest thing out there. So we've got programs.
I just recently started following you on Instagram. I was dying at the ketchup and hot sauce one that you just did. So it's and the umbrella. I like that as well. It had all the stuff fall out of it. So really good content. Encourage everyone to connect with you. I do see a question from Patrick. So he was asking, do you do a unique video for TikTok, or is that a duplicate from Instagram or YouTube?
It totally depends, which is a crappy answer. But I would say at large, for just say my content, this isn't brand specific, I create specifically for the platform that I'm focused on right now, which for me would be Instagram, actually. So I would create with that in mind based on where my biggest audience is. And then I would tweak it a little bit based on the language. If your avatar is different on TikTok and you understand that language to be a little bit different and how you show up with them, and based on the context of the video, if it's native to TikTok, and that's hard to describe what I mean by that, but I think you might understand that there's a different language on shorts, which is more metadata heavy, more education heavy. That's different than how you would show up and maybe articulate the same message on TikTok. So my crappy answer is it depends, but at large, I usually, for my entertainment content, I do both. And I post to TikTok first before any other platform. It used to be Facebook first, but with TikTok, you have such strict limited originality rules, and we just have pages getting shut down from friends and creators that we manage left and right. Because if you had a YouTube short pop off, there's already bots that are scraping that down and posting it to TikTok to monetize. Then if you post it the next day to TikTok, you're going to get a flag, and you're the one who owns the content. There's no real way to appeal that. So we create for each platform based on where our focus and our goals is and where our main audience is that we're trying to speak to. But in most cases, I would say you could repurpose that content, say if it's talking head or educational.
I'm going to give one more, which was Rick said, which platform is your optimum one and which one do you get the most traction initially, and how did that evolve? Another it depends question, probably.
Totally. For me, if that's for me specifically, Facebook is where we can get the most traction. It's still the biggest platform in the world. There's the most users on there, and people are more willing. It's an older demographic, so they're not shy with the commenting and their opinions. And it's also the easiest to share and get out to a wider audience versus Instagram. You can share something to your story, but that's dependent on how many followers you have. And unless you're just ripping the content and putting it on your own profile, it's harder for sharing to help something get as much distribution as there is on Facebook. But everything really is algorithm dependent based on suggestions. So discover-based platforms, which are all the short form platforms, I'd say it's a matter of rolling the dice of where you're going to get the most traction, which is why we say publish everywhere.
Yeah. And one of the funniest commercials, I don't watch a lot of TV, but the one, how to not end up like your parents. Like, did you really need to share 46 photos on Facebook of the dinner you went to or whatever it is? So but Facebook, I mean, that's good. People tend to neglect it, but it is, still the largest platform out there, and they relate it to the
revenue. And that's because of the amount of reach and distribution that's available on Facebook. So I certainly wouldn't neglect it. And they're also offering, from a monetization point, plenty of incentives to get people publishing over there for the first time when it comes to reels and performance bonuses and engagement bonuses, things like that.
All right. Well, I want to be respectful of your time. I know you have a hard stop at the top of the hour. So I want to thank you for joining the House of Bricks, sharing your story of adversity, giving God the credit. Love that as well. And what I would tell my 19-year-old self is absolutely nothing. So find people like Adley that have been where or are where you want to go. They've made a lot of mistakes that you can learn from and accelerate your growth. We're all going to struggle. That's the name of the game. That's what we signed up for. But really appreciate you joining, and I'll speak with you soon. Thank you.
I really appreciate you, Adam. Thank you so much for having me. This was an honor.
Thank you.